He held her hand on the red carpet. And held a secret in the shadows. For years, Doug Christie fooled the world until one woman pressed play and shattered everything. This is not just a scandal. This is betrayal at its highest level. Money, lies, power, and now, federal charges. You think you know the story, but what Malaysia revealed in court will leave you speechless. Stay with us, because once you hear that audio, there's no going back. Doug Christie thought he had fooled everyone. For years, he wore the mask of a perfect husband, loving, loyal, and dependable. Even Jackie, his wife of nearly 3 decades, had no clue what he was really hiding. But Malaysia Pargo, she saw the truth, and in front of a full courtroom, with the world watching, she revealed it all. This was not just about cheating. It was deeper than that. It was lies, manipulation, money games, and silent control. When Malaysia calmly took out her phone and pressed play, the courtroom went still. Doug's voice came through the speakers, sharp and cold. Let Jackie find out. I don't care. As long as I've got her name, I own the game. No one in the courtroom made a sound. The air felt heavy, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. Jackie slowly rose to her feet, her whole body trembling. Tears filled her eyes, but they were not tears of sadness. They were tears of fury. Years of betrayal, silence, and pretending had built up to this moment. And now it was all crashing down. You used my name, she said through clenched teeth. You used my love. You used me. Her voice cut through the room like a blade. Every word carried pain, but also strength. The truth had finally come to light. But Malaysia was not finished. Calm and steady, she stepped forward and placed a folder on the evidence table. One by one, she opened it, laying out proof in front of everyone: bank statements, wire transfers, hidden accounts, receipts from luxury items never explained. And then came the final blow: papers listing names. Names of women Doug had been secretly sending money to. Some names were familiar. Some were complete strangers. But they all had one thing in common: they were kept in the dark, just like Jackie. The room buzzed with whispers, but it all stopped when the courtroom doors suddenly burst open. Uniformed police officers entered, firm and focused. The lead officer walked straight up to Doug Christie, not looking left or right. He stared Doug down and said in a cold, steady voice, "Mr. Christie, we have a few questions. And this time, you are not walking away." Doug's confident posture disappeared in seconds. His face dropped, and his hands fidgeted. He tried to speak, but nothing came out. This was no longer just a public scandal. This had officially become a federal case. What once looked like a happy marriage, a perfect public image, and a clean reputation was now shattered in front of everyone. Every lie he told had been caught on tape. Every secret deal, every hidden transfer, and every manipulation had a receipt. The same man who once walked red carpets hand in hand with Jackie was now exposed as someone completely different. Doug's empire, his career, his name, his brand was collapsing. The courtroom that once respected him now looked at him with judgment and disappointment. His world, built on lies, was crumbling right beneath his feet. Malaysia stood still, her expression unreadable. She had done what many thought was impossible. She brought the truth to light. And Jackie, she was no longer broken. She was rising. This was no longer about a relationship falling apart. It was about justice. It was about truth. And in that moment, it was clear Doug Christie was not walking away from this. Not this time. And his freedom. That could be next. When Malaysia speaks, people listen. And this time, the justice system was listening to. The room was completely silent. You could hear the ticking clock, the shuffle of papers, the quiet breaths of reporters tightly packed in the gallery. Doug sat upright, trying to act strong, trying to pretend like nothing could touch him. But Malaysia did not come in yelling. She did not show anger. She came in calm like the sky before a storm. On the outside, she looked peaceful. On the inside, she was ready to tear down everything Doug had built. This was not just about a broken marriage. It was about betrayal, pride, and silent greed. Doug used to think he was safe. He was the NBA star, the man always holding Jackie's hand on the red carpet, playing the part of a loving husband. But behind that image was something much darker. And now, Malaysia had the receipts. When she stood at the witness stand, Doug could not even look her in the eye. Jackie sat frozen. Her hands were shaking, her mouth tightly shut like she was holding back years of pain. The judge nodded at Malaysia. She raised her phone and said, "Your Honor, with permission, I'd like to play something that was legally recorded." The judge paused. Doug's lawyer jumped up, objecting. But the judge allowed it. The audio started. At first, just background noise. Then Doug's voice, confident and harsh. Not the one from interviews or TV. This was a different side. Jackie can know whatever she wants. I own her name. That's all that matters. I run the game. The courtroom gasped. Even the stenographer stopped for a second. Jackie turned toward Doug with wide eyes. Her face had gone pale. Her expression said everything. You just destroyed our whole life. Doug looked shaken. But Malaysia was not finished? That was 2 months ago, she said. Then she held up a document. A bank transfer for $75,000 sent to a woman who was definitely not his wife. The crowd broke into whispers. Court officers demanded silence, but it was too late. Reporters were already typing headlines. Phones buzzed. Live updates flew out. Malaysia drops bombshell. Doug caught cheating and stealing. Then the judge leaned forward. Miss Pargo, are you saying Mr. Christie has been transferring money behind his wife's back? And that was just the beginning? Yes, Your Honor. And I have 7 more transfers. Just like this, Malaysia said clearly. All sent to women who were secretly promised Jackie's lifestyle. Jackie finally stood up. But this time, she was not crying. She was furious. Everything we built, she whispered with fire in her voice. You used it to impress strangers who never even knew your heart. You used my name to live your lies. Doug tried to defend himself. Jackie, please, you do not understand. I was doing it for us. I was protecting. Protecting what? She snapped. The only thing you protected was your ego. But this story was never just about cheating. Malaysia stepped off the stand and walked over to the officers. She handed them a flash drive and calmly said, I am officially turning this over to the police. Then, the doors opened again. Officers walked in loud, confident, and direct. One stepped forward and announced, We need to speak with Mr. Doug Christie regarding possible fraud and financial misconduct. He is not under arrest at this time, but we expect full cooperation. Doug froze. His eyes searched the room like a man trapped. He looked at Jackie, but she had already turned away. He glanced at Malaysia, but her expression was cold and shaken, because the truth was, Malaysia had warned him months ago. She told him, do not use her, do not cross me. If you do, I will tear this down piece by piece. And that is exactly what she did. This was not some reality show mess. This was real. Doug had gotten too comfortable, thinking no one would ever challenge him. But Malaysia was not scared, not of his name, his fame, or his past. She brought the receipts, the audio, the bank records, the names. And now, police were involved. Jackie was finished, and the world was watching every moment like wildfire. From blogs to sports channels, one question kept echoing. How long had this been going on? How many women? Did Jackie ever know? Was this all part of a double life? As the court broke for recess, Doug was surrounded by lawyers, reporters, police. He stood sweating, stammering, and completely exposed. But Malaysia walked out like a queen who just ended a king's rule. She did not show mercy. She came to end him. Doug Christie was no longer a respected name. Not the loving husband. Not the ex-NBA star. Not the charming man from TV. Now he was just a cornered man. The court paused, but the chaos outside was just getting started. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted. Fans pushed for a glimpse. And Jackie Christie, once the picture of strength and loyalty, looked like she was about to break. She said nothing. She walked straight to her SUV, slammed the door, and sped away. But before she disappeared into the night, she shouted at the cameras. Let him explain the lies. I gave him my life. Ask him what he did with it. That one sentence. It exploded online in minutes. Back inside, Doug was in a tiny room at the police precinct, under pressure. He had not been arrested yet, but he had lost control. The same man who once gave speeches about discipline and respect was now sweating through his shirt, blinking, fast, and trying to explain why. $400,000 had been moved into hidden accounts over a year and a half. Detective Monroe leaned in across the table. You're telling me you moved all that money by accident? Doug said nothing. Or was it all a performance? Monroe continued. Smile for the cameras, hold her hand, then steal behind her back. Doug cleared his throat. It was not like that. I was just protecting our finances. Monroe laughed. Doug, come on. You were paying off women like it was some reality show. We've got it all: bank records, emails, burner phone logs, and now Malaysia's files. You're finished. Doug suddenly snapped. They do not know what they are talking about. Malaysia has always hated me. But Monroe was not moved. You think this is about jealousy? You think she blew up your life just for fun? This isn't TV, Doug. This is federal finance fraud. And if even half of this is true, you're facing serious charges. Meanwhile, back at Jackie's house, everything was falling apart. Friends were calling. Family was knocking. VH1 producers were already asking for a sit-down interview. But Jackie was silent. She stood alone in her living room, staring at the memories, pictures, anniversary gifts, cards. She picked up one of Doug's love notes from there, 10th vow renewal, and ripped it down the middle. Then she lost it, throwing everything. Picture frames, basketball trophies, even wedding keepsakes. Everything hit the floor. Because this betrayal, it was not just about money, it was about being lied to, used, and broken by the one person she trusted the most. What Jackie had gone through was more than just heartbreak, it was emotional abuse. She had stood by Doug through everything. She defended him in public, confronted women for him on TV, and looked the other way in private, just to protect his image. And in return, he was the snake hiding in her garden. Malaysia was the one who finally pulled the mask off. As this drama unfolded in the courtroom, social media exploded. Hashtags started trending. Hashtag Doug Christie scandal. Hashtag justice for Jackie. Hash Malaysia did what had to be done. Memes were everywhere. Doug acting like a husband on TV but a hustler behind the scenes. Another said, Malaysia walked into court with receipts like she worked at Target. One comment read, Jackie better burn that whole mansion and start over. But what the public did not know, Malaysia had only shown half of what she had. The other half of the evidence was already in the hands of a legal team preparing a civil lawsuit on behalf of Jackie and 2 other women. These women were promised business deals by Doug but were cut off and abandoned after he got what he wanted. Just when people thought things could not get any messier, Malaysia went live on Instagram. She looked flawless, calm, and focused. Her words were sharp. I didn't want to do this, she said. But after today, people need the truth. Jackie deserved the truth. Doug fooled too many people for too long. She paused, then added, I hope the cameras were worth it, Doug. Because the only spotlight you're getting now is in an interrogation room. Doug saw that live stream from the police station. He lost control. He shouted, she's lying. She's doing this for clout. But the officer beside him stayed quiet and then calmly said, you should have thought about your name before you betrayed the one person who protected it. Behind the scenes, Jackie's team was working on something even bigger. Divorce papers. But this was not going to be a quiet, private separation. Jackie wanted the world to see it. She was not hiding. She was ready to take everything public. She wanted everyone to know what happens when a woman who helped build your legacy is betrayed. Her publicist confirmed a statement would be released in the morning. But insiders at VH1 leaked it early. Jackie Christie had officially filed for legal separation from Doug Christie. A press conference was expected within 48 hours. All joint assets, production deals, and brand contracts were now under legal review. In other words, Doug was about to lose everything. The house, the brands, the franchise, even the fans he had left were turning on him. Old teammates went silent. People who used to cheer him on wanted nothing to do with the fire. Because when Malaysia strikes the match and Jackie fuels the fire, there is no safe place to run. Doug made one last attempt. He called Jackie blocked. He called Malaysia blocked. He sent a public apology through his PR team, but they never posted it. No one was buying his story anymore. Doug Christie's image was in freefall. His name, once respected, was now a headline for all the wrong reasons. That night, Jackie stood alone on her balcony, staring out at the LA skyline. She did not cry, she did not scream. She just whispered to herself, he thought I would never find out. He thought Malaysia would never go that far. But now the world knows he never deserved me. Back at the courthouse, things were still boiling. Reporters flooded the steps. TMZ, bloggers, YouTubers all had their cameras locked on the building. Inside, Malaysia stood quietly, calm, but her eyes burned with truth. Jackie leaned against a hallway wall, breathing like she had just survived a war. In some ways, she had. Doug Christie, once seen as a faithful husband, A loyal athlete, a man who spoke about values and black love was now the face of lies and betrayal. Hashtags like hashtag #DougDoubleLife and hashtag Malaysia exposed everything were everywhere. And then another bomb dropped. Malaysia's legal team sent new files to the district attorney. This time, the documents showed Doug had moved money into fake businesses. One of those companies was linked to illegal transfers overseas. It was no longer just cheating. No longer just lying. It was looking like federal fraud. The IRS joined the investigation. Within a day, a financial task force confirmed that at least 3 wire transfers had come from Doug's basketball alumni foundation into shady accounts in other countries. Even more shocking, 2 of the girlfriends, named in the evidence, had suddenly disappeared from LA just days before Malaysia's court appearance. Coincidence? Jackie did not think so. They knew this storm was coming. She told the Shade Room, "I just didn't know I'd be standing in it too." But this time, Jackie was not standing alone. She sat beside Malaysian, the same side, reviewing timelines, call logs, and bank statements. She was done protecting Doug. Now, she was preparing to destroy what he built with the same truth he tried to bury. It was like Malaysia had handed Jackie the last puzzle piece, and in that moment, Jackie saw the full picture for the first time. But here's what nobody knew: Malaysia had been gathering proof for months. This was not some last decision. This was a well-planned take. She had hired a private investigator, reviewed bank records, saved late-night calls, and even planted recording devices in her own apartment, the same one where Doug once stayed after a fight with Jackie. Then came one of the most shocking moments, a voicemail from Doug, drunk and careless, saying, "If Jackie ever finds out about Kenya, just say it was for clout. She's too old to leave me. I own her loyalty." That one line shook the internet. Twitter exploded. Feminist pages, celebrity blogs, and even former VH1 staff started reposting it, writing, "This is the real Doug Christie. Jackie, we stand with you." Meanwhile, Doug's entire team started falling apart. His agent quit. His publicist deleted her social media. Even his youth charity foundation released a public statement. "The recent allegations against Mr. Christie are serious. We've frozen all accounts and are cooperating fully with investigators." That announcement came just 48 hours after Corton signaled that the fall had officially begun. But the storm was far from over. Jackie, no longer hiding behind Doug, stepped in front of reporters during a press conference. Her lawyer stood beside her. Her face was calm but emotional. Then she spoke. "For years, I protected him. I took the blame. I stood in the way of every attack to shield him. But not anymore. Doug lied to me. He made me question my own worth as a woman, a wife, and a mother. And the more silent I stayed, the bolder he got. But today, I say this clearly, I believe Malaysia. I believe the women he used. And I believe justice is coming." The press went wild. Bombshell. A secret recording leaked Doug talking to a former teammate. In it, he said, "Man, Malaysia's gonna regret this. I've got stuff on her too. Let her keep playing brave. This ain't over." But instead of helping his case, it made things worse. Now he was facing accusations of threats, witness tampering, and trying to obstruct justice. The police responded quickly. They opened a separate investigation into those threats. Jackie's response: just one Instagram post. "A lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. But if the sheep bites, the lion roars." That post hit 1.3 million likes in just a few hours. Malaysia, on the other hand, stayed quiet. She did not post for attention. She was not chasing fame. Every move she made had a purpose. She was here for justice. Then came the final blow. Doug's longtime assistant, someone who had worked with the Christies for over 7 years, came forward anonymously. She handed over screenshots and emails from Doug's personal accounts. 1. Emails, subject line read, "Payment plan for loyalty, do not forward." Attached were invoices for payments to women labeled support services and confidential arrangements. This was no longer about cheating. This was proof of a planned system to deceive and control. The judge reviewed everything and made it official. This court finds enough evidence to move this to a federal investigation. This is no longer just a family matter. That day, Doug's trial shifted from civil court to criminal court, and standing in the middle of it all was Malaysia Pargo, the woman who lit the first match and watched the truth go up in flames. This is not the story of a bitter ex. This is not petty reality drama, this is war. And Malaysia just fired the last shot. Doug Christie thought he was untouchable. that his fame, charm, and carefully chosen Bible quotes could protect him. But he was not ready for a woman with receipts. A woman who had nothing left to lose and everything to expose. Malaysia didn't spill tea, she flooded the world with truth, and now, the sharks are circling. Do not get it twisted, this is not revenge. This is about standing up when you have been lied to, gaslit, and broken. It is about showing the world that women are not afraid anymore. Doug Christie woke up, and she came out swinging. Now she and Malaysia stand side by side to strong women. Standing tall in heels, turning pain into power. Doug is not just facing legal charges, he is facing the truth. And when the truth comes armed with proof, allies, and a public ready to listen, no lawyer in the world can save you. So now, it is your turn. Share this comment below. Use your voice because silence protects predators. But exposure, that is how we end them. If you believe women deserve honesty, if you're tired of watching powerful men hurt people behind the scenes, then do not scroll past this. Stand with Malaysia. Stand with Jackie. Stand for truth. This story is not over. The next chapter, it might be a prison sentence.